Welcome back to the deep dive, everyone. Where we really get into it. And today, we're diving headfirst into a story that's haunted folks for, well, decades now. The disappearance of the Sodder children.
A case that's both tragic and bizarre. I mean, 5 kids vanish on Christmas Eve. It's the kind of story that sticks with you.
It really does. Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sodder family, they're in Fayetteville, West Virginia. Their house catches fire late that night. But here's the thing. After the fire is put out, 5 of the Sodder children, they're nowhere to be found.
Gone. And despite the intensity of the fire, not a single trace of them was ever found in the ashes. No remains. Nothing.
That's just strange, right? You'd think even in a bad fire there'd be something left behind. So what's the official explanation?
Officially, the fire was blamed on faulty wiring. But, and this is a big but, the house had been inspected not long before the fire, and the electrical system got a clean bill of health.
So that doesn't really add up, does it? An inspection says everything's fine, then bam, a massive fire. Something just doesn't sit right.
Exactly. And the story gets even stranger. There were some seriously odd happenings leading up to the fire.
Like what? Give me the details.
Well, just before the fire started, George Sodder, the father, received a really creepy phone call.
A creepy phone call. Okay, this is right up our alley. Tell me more.
So George said the voice on the other end was unfamiliar. The person asked for someone he didn't know. And then they started laughing, a really unsettling laugh. And then, just like that, they hung up.
Ooh, that sends chills down my spine. A wrong number is one thing, but the laughter, that's just off. It makes you think it was deliberate, maybe someone confirming the family was home.
Right. And then there's the bang on the roof. Some people think someone might have been trying to warn the family about the fire.
Or maybe trying to create a distraction. I mean, talk about adding to the chaos.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And get this, the Sodders always kept a ladder on the side of the house. But on that night, it was gone.
Gone? Wait, like someone took it.
That's what's so suspicious about it. It was always there. But that night, poof, vanished. Some people believe it was intentional to prevent the older children from escaping through the windows.
Oh, that's chilling. And to make matters even worse, you said earlier they couldn't find their children, but were the parents able to escape?
So George and his wife, Jenny, they managed to get out, along with 4 of their children. But both of George's trucks, which he normally would have used to save the kids trapped upstairs, they wouldn't start that night.
It's like every escape route was intentionally blocked. It's hard to believe it was all just a coincidence. So if someone was targeting the Sodders, who and why?
Well, one of the most talked about theories centers on George Sodder himself. He was an Italian immigrant, and he was very outspoken against Benito Mussolini and the fascist regime in Italy.
Ah, so there's a political angle here.
Potentially. Some believe George's views might have made him some enemies. Maybe someone with ties to Italy or sympathizers of Mussolini.
A possible motive, but could there have been more to it? I mean, to do something this horrific on Christmas Eve, no less, it just seems personal.
It's definitely a possibility. And here's another layer to this already complex case. After the fire, numerous people from different parts of the country came forward, claiming they had seen the missing Sodder children.
Wait, people claim to have seen them?
Alive. Some even reported seeing them with unfamiliar adults, which has led to speculation about a possible kidnapping.
Okay, now that's a whole other rabbit hole. Eyewitness accounts, they can be unreliable, especially in stressful situations. How much weight did investigators give to these sightings?
It's true. Eyewitness testimony can be shaky. But the sheer number of similar sightings from different locations, it really makes you wonder.
It does. And what about the Sodder family? How did they cope with this unimaginable loss and the lack of answers?
George Sodder, he refused to give up hope. He was convinced his children hadn't died in the fire. He dedicated his life to trying to find them.
He sounds like a determined man. What did he do?
He put up a billboard on the highway, a big one, with pictures of his missing children on it, offering a reward for any information. It became a haunting reminder of the tragedy.
That's both heartbreaking and powerful. A father's love on display for the world to see. Did the billboard lead to any significant breaks in the case?
For years, nothing concrete came from the billboard. But then in 1968, over 20 years after the fire, the Sodder family received a letter.
A letter after all those years. Okay, this is getting good. What did it say?
The letter was postmarked from Central City, Kentucky. Inside, there was a photo of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to Louis Sodder, one of the missing children.
Are you serious? Their missing son, Louis, potentially alive and well after all these years. Did the letter explain anything? Where he'd been? What happened?
This is the frustrating part. The letter itself was very vague. It hinted that Louis was alive, but gave no real details about his whereabouts or what had happened to him or his siblings.
Oh man, that's both hopeful and incredibly frustrating. A glimmer of hope, but still no real answers. Did they ever hear from Louis or whoever sent the letter ever again?
Unfortunately, no. The Sodder family followed up on every lead, but nothing ever panned out. The case, to this day, remains unsolved.
So after all these years, after all the theories, the investigations, we're still left wondering what happened to the Sodder children. Was it a tragic accident, a case of mistaken identity, or something more sinister?
It's a question that continues to fascinate and frustrate. It's a story that forces us to confront the limits of our understanding and the enduring power of hope, even when faced with the unknown.
It truly is a mystery for the ages. Do you think we'll ever know what happened that night? Was it just a terrible tragedy, or did something more nefarious occur? We may never have definitive answers, but the Sodder children's story serves as a reminder that some mysteries never die, they just continue to captivate us. Let us know what you think. What are your theories? Until next time, keep exploring the unexplained, and we'll see you on the deep dive.